Good morning from Mae Sot, Thailand, or in fact the highway leading out of Mae Sot, Thailand. And I'm on my scooter and I'm on the highway because the sun decided to come out. And since the sun decided to come out, I'm heading down to Umphang for 2 or 3 days, 4 days, however long I'm down there. And if you're not doing anything over the next little while, I thought I'd fire up the GoPro, take some video here and there, and take you along for the trip. So it's about 7:30 in the morning. Feels a lot later because when the sun comes out after all that rain, it's amazing how quickly it heats up. So it's pretty warm out here. Got about maybe a 6-hour trip from here to when I arrive in Umpang. Just going to relax and take my time. Stop for a coffee here and there. Oh. Funny story. I'll drive us slowly here while I tell this story. I was all packed up and I was ready to go yesterday, but just as I was leaving the guest house, my landlady told me that there was a temporary free clinic for foreigners to get a COVID-19 vaccine. Apparently this was taking place at a large and quite a well-known temple in Mae Sot. So even though I was all packed up and ready to go, and even though I didn't really trust the information, most of the time when people tell me things here, it always turns out to not be true. I don't know why that's the case, but all the information I get is always wrong. But in this case, I thought, well, I'll go check it out. So I hopped on unpacked my scooter, and I rode down to this temple. And I learned later on that this program to give foreigners a COVID-19 vaccine is real, but it isn't meant for foreigners like me. This is a program for all the migrant workers in this area, workers from Myanmar, mainly from Myanmar, but maybe some from Laos or Cambodia, any of the neighboring countries. That's who the program was for. But even so, I thought maybe, they would sneak me in. My landlady said that they were administering the Pfizer vaccine, which would have been acceptable to me. So I rode down there just to see, maybe I'm a foreigner. This is a program for foreigners. And I thought maybe even if I didn't qualify for the public program, I could just pay for the vaccine privately. Anyway, I thought it was worth checking out. So I rode down to the temple, but not surprisingly, when I got there, nothing was happening. There was nobody there. Nobody, like no one at all. And the gates into the temple compound were even closed. There was no way to even get in the temple. So whatever the story was, wherever my landlady got her information, what she told me wasn't correct. But by the time I figured all this out, it felt too late in the day to head off on this trip. So I decided to postpone for a day, and here I am this morning. I have one other option for the vaccine that's underway right now. As far as I know, the only option available to someone like me, and I'm still here on a tourist visa, so I'm not eligible for any of the government programs. So with all those programs not being open to me, the only option is for me to get a vaccine at a private hospital or a private clinic. And as far as I'm aware, there's only one hospital in Mae Sot that is offering this. And I'm on the waiting list there. The whole program is already full. All the vaccines that they think they're going to be able to get, it's already fully booked. but I'm on the waiting list for that. It's the Moderna vaccine. Quick stop at the side of the road. One of my favorite snack places is right over there. But as always, I just tend to leave too early for these things. Everything is still closed. All the places that might be selling tasty snacks. So I'm just going to keep riding. I just wanted to say that one of the reasons I'm going to Umpang, where I've already been before, I've gone on one trip to Umphang, but that was during the dry season. And now we're just kind of coming out of the rainy season, kind of on the shoulder maybe. So I thought I'd go down there. I want to take a look around, see if the area looks different after a couple of months of rain. Should look quite different. But also, life here continues to be dominated by COVID-19. There's been a surge here in Thailand, the biggest surge we've ever had in the country, going all the way back to the very beginning. And that means a whole new raft of travel restrictions. There's no buses or trains or planes, it seems, going anywhere from province to province in the country. And about half of the provinces, more than half of them, are classified in this super dark red zone, which is the maximum super controlled area, meaning that it's difficult to leave those provinces. And my province, Tak province, is one of those provinces. So even if I wanted to go north to Mae Son or Chiang Mai or go anywhere, as far as I'm aware, I can't. You can't cross the border without going into, the 14-day quarantine, providing negative COVID tests, all these kinds of things. At least that's what I think. It's so hard to get accurate information, and I've kind of given up even trying, to be honest. Every day you hear something new, a new story from a new person, a new story on the news, so I don't even pay attention anymore. But as far as I'm aware, I can't leave this province, at least not easily. And staying inside Tak province, there aren't that many places you can go where there is accommodation. And Umpang is one of these places. It has, nice hotels there, and even a budget hotel, which is, I'm all about the budget hotels. So that's why I'm heading down to Umpang. Yeah, COVID-19 is still restricting travel in Thailand to a large extent. Well, no snacks. So time to keep going. And by the way, I could go on this trip down a whole bunch of side roads, like more interesting roads going through the countryside. But since I'm going a fairly long distance, 160 kilometers, I didn't really want to dawdle that much. So I'm heading down the main highway, 1090, straight shot all the way to Umpang. And the last half of it, I'll be going through the mountains. So there will be some beautiful riding for the last 80 kilometers or 90 kilometers going up into the mountains, a very windy, curvy road all the way into Umpang. So this first stretch, I'm not going through the countryside. I'm not meandering anywhere. I'm just heading straight down 1090. And I'm also not that clear if there are serious checkpoints on the way. I'm not entirely positive that I'm even allowed to travel from Mae Sot to Umpang. Just sort of playing that by ear, and I'll find out as I drive. Well, I've reached the point in the highway 1090 just before it climbs up into the mountains and begins that long, windy section into Umpang. I guess I'm 50 or 60 kilometers outside of Mae Sot. And there's a coffee shop here that I like to stop at. And to my surprise, they have a sign that says open, which I'm really happy about. So I'm going to pop in and grab a coffee. I'm not sure if I can sit down or I have to just take it to go, because one of the restrictions of this super maximum dark red zone that we're in is that everything is takeaway only. So in Mae Sot, basically all the coffee shops and all the restaurants, all the cafes, everything is closed. All you can do is order takeaway or home delivery. But maybe those restrictions are a bit loosened, out here in the Umphang area, anyway, or Popra area. Anyway, I'm going to find out. See if I can get my morning coffee. Oh, here's my scooter, by the way. I forget the name of this place, actually. Find out when I head inside. So the place is called Ava Cafe. I didn't remember. I actually had to look up at the sign. There's the sign there, Ava Cafe. And it is takeaway only. So the interior is all completely closed. You have to order takeaway. I ordered a latte. But I'm not sure whether takeaway means you could sit outside, because they do have all this seating on the outside. But I'm going to take a seat over here. I think if it was closed, they'd have ribbons or something barricading the area. So I'm going to try to sit down, and if I can't, I'm sure they'll tell me. So just enjoying my latte here, which they gave to me in a takeaway cup, of course, because everything is takeaway. But while I was waiting, I just sat down here at a table outside. As my excuse, I'm busy changing all the batteries and memory cards and all my various GoPros. And while I'm sitting here, I'll take a sip or two of coffee. And so far, no one has yelled at me that I can't actually sit here and enjoy my coffee. Yeah, not a whole lot of activity on this trip so far. As I said, I'm just riding. I didn't stop anywhere. Everything is closed anyway. It's such a weird world we're living in. All the snack shops were closed because it was too early. But along this road, there's also a gibbon sanctuary, which is quite well known. I wanted to visit that, but it's closed, of course. You pass by a bunch of waterfalls and caves and other tourist attractions. They're all closed. And on the side roads, I saw a lot of barriers where the roads heading into the small villages, the farming communities on the sides, they have barricades set up so you can't actually go down those roads anyway. So yeah, strange times we're living in. And I guess I never really thought about it, but even going to Umpang, I mean, one of the pleasures of a trip like this is you can go to a new place, feel energized, kind of get out of your rut. I've been in a bit of a lull lately because of the weather and because of the whole situation. And you think, wow, I get to Umpang and I can go out and try all this new food at all these new restaurants. But no, I can't, because everything's going to be closed. Well, takeaway only, so maybe I'll be having a lot of takeaway meals at my guest house. Or who knows, we'll just find out when we get there. Because one of the rules is supposed to be that all hair salons are permanent, like totally closed. And yet I got a haircut back in Mae Sot. So even though technically places are supposed to be closed, some of them are kind of sort of open, and yeah, who knows what's going on. Anyway, I'm going to quickly enjoy my latte and then get back on the road. Pretty much just began my 110 kilometer ride through the mountains to Umpang. Amazing day, really. I mean, it's a little bit cloudy. The weather forecast today called for like perfectly clear skies all day, but there are some clouds up there and sprinkled a little bit of rain, so I was getting a little bit nervous, and it was actually kind of cool, kind of chilly air going through some of the deeper valleys. But Yeah, really not a problem at all. The sun is starting to come out. And a great thing about the clouds is it gives you a really nice sort of atmosphere, you know, a backdrop for the hills and the scenery. So this is what I'm looking at right now. And this is basically the scenery that you ride through all the way from here to Umphang. So it's really beautiful. And a very curvy, windy road, of course. You can just make out the road way down there. There's a little bit of a clearing on the other side, and you can see the road carving a path. Or maybe that's a farmer's road, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that's just a farmer's road. Maybe the main road curves off in that direction. Have to be a little bit careful with the traffic, of course. There's a lot of crop harvesting going on right now, so you see a lot of these pickup trucks going by with 10 or 15 young men in the back, and they're being carried out to the fields to harvest crops or maintain, do whatever it is they need to do out in the fields. And they're in a hurry to get to where they want to go. Yeah, you got to be careful on this road. And a lot of the trucks, the pickup trucks coming towards me, they don't stick on their side. They're cutting across the corners. So they cut across the main line and take the shortcut around the corner, which means they're basically in my lane coming right towards me. So yeah, you got to be on your toes. But yeah, makes the drive entertaining. So one more look at the scenery out there before I start riding again. As I said, I was a little bit worried about the rain, but I think the rain is going to stay away for the rest of my ride. Still on my way to Umphang. Nothing much to report except there was a sudden rainstorm, and really good timing on the rainstorm because I just happened to be passing this small town, and there's a kind of a roadside stop here, and they just happen to have this convenient roof right here. So pulled my scooter in out of the rain, and I'm just waiting a few minutes for the rain to stop. As you can see, the sky is still kind of blue in a lot of different directions, but I guess directly above me there just happens to be a a rain cloud, and it's going to move along pretty quick, I think, and I can get back on the road. I was wondering as I was riding, I couldn't remember how many curves were on this road. I knew it had a name, like the highway of 1,219 curves, or the highway of 1,290. I couldn't remember which it was, but here on this sign you can see it is the highway of 1,219 curves. I don't know how many hundreds of them I've gone around so far, but quite a few. Hey, as I said, couldn't get a nicer place to stop than this, just to get out of the rain for a minute. The rainstorm is over, back on the road, and I just stopped here because there's some fairly nice scenery off to my left. Thought I'd capture a little bit of it on the GoPro. Just a nice farming valley. This is kind of what this whole area looks like. Quite steep hills with farming down in the low-lying flat areas. And the road, of course, heads off in that direction down the valley. And as you can see, there's still a chance of a rain arriving. Some dark clouds up there. But it doesn't look like any rain has fallen here at all because the road is still dry. For a while there, I had to be quite careful and ride quite slowly because the road was wet from all the rain, and yeah, quite slippery. But yeah, here we are. Another maybe 65 kilometers to go to get to Umphang. Hour and a half, 2 hours if I go very slowly. All right, back on the road. All right, time for a check-in on this road trip to Umphang. About 40 kilometers left to go. And man, the endorphins are flowing, yeah? What is it about riding? I'm just riding a scooter through the mountains, and it's like I'm mainlining a happiness drug. It's just so uplifting, you know? Yeah, just happy Doug today, riding through the mountains. I just stopped here, of course, because there's another viewpoint. Not quite sure what direction I'm even looking in, to be honest. But there's a steep drop off to kind of a flat area and then climbing up into mountains again. I don't know how that comes across on the GoPro, but it's a gorgeous view down there. And from here, I couldn't tell you where Mae Sot is, like what direction am I facing? I honestly have no idea. I'd have to check on Google Maps just to figure that out. Yeah, very little traffic on the road, which is nice. Just a few of those pickup trucks that I mentioned before, zooming around a little bit. But other than that, I pretty much have the road to myself, which is nice. The weather has been keeping me on my toes. As you can see, it's perfectly dry here. Not much rain. But other sections of the road back there, suddenly it like poured down. It doesn't pour, but it does rain. And then I end up getting soaked. And then my clothes get wet. And then I come out of the rain and the wind dries me off. I get chilled. And then once I become dry and warm, back into the rain again. So it's like, yeah, I'm going through a series of hot and cold segments of this journey. But yeah, couldn't really ask for a better day though. Lots more beautiful scenery ahead. Can't really see much of it there through the trees, but that's the direction the road goes. My trusty scooter is hanging in there, doing well. Not complaining at all. All right, that's it. The endorphin report, 40 kilometers outside of Umphang. And I still have my other GoPro going. It's down there. That's the Hero 7 Black, and I have it set to a time lapse. So it's been recording this whole journey at 2 times speed. So every hour I'm on the road produces 30 minutes of video. And I don't know whether that proportion is good for a trip like this or not, but just a little experiment, and we'll see how it looks. There, how's that view with the scooter? Okay, let's get back on the road. Okay, we've arrived in Umphang. A little bit of a procedure getting into town. Interestingly enough, I came up on a checkpoint, and they had something there that I hadn't seen anywhere else. They actually had a drive-through disinfectant chamber. So I was instructed to go into this structure, kind of like a tent, and then drive the scooter through this tent, and it had nozzles on all different sides spraying some kind of a disinfectant. Kind of smelled like chlorine, you know, like you're just, I basically right now I smell like I just came out of a pool. And oddly enough, when I first drove through, they just waved me ahead and just said basically, you know, that's all I needed to do was go through that chamber, get disinfected, and then I could drive away. But I had to stop for a second and change the battery on one of my GoPros. So I was hanging out there for a minute or two after I got out of the disinfectant chamber. And I kind of knew at the back of my mind, I knew it was a bad idea, because just in general, in airports, train stations, no matter where, if you just happen to go through security and you're on the other side of immigration or customs, whatever, never hang out there. Just keep going and get out of there right away, because they've let you through. And if you sort of hang out, it sort of gives them a chance to change their mind. And in this case, because I hung out for a couple of minutes fiddling with my GoPros, they had enough time to think about how they should process me as a foreigner, and then they dispatch someone to come get me and bring me back to register. And to be honest, I think the only reason they did it was because they have someone there who spoke fairly good English. You know, her English was good enough to be able to talk about all these practical details. So even though they let me through at first, because I was such a dummy that I was just sort of hanging out, then they called me back, and then I had to just basically just fill out the book, passport number, address in Mae Sot, where I'm staying in Umpang, name and age and all that kind of information. Temperature check. And after I did all that, then I had to walk through the disinfectant chamber again and get sprayed with more chlorine. And now we've arrived at the guest house, Umphang house. There it is on the right. And now this will be the true test. Will I be able to stay here or not? Is it open? I hope so. Success. They are open for business. Actually, a lot of the bungalows that I saw here seem to be full of people. I saw a lot of clothing, a lot of shoes. So I think families are staying in all the bungalows. And it is a Saturday now, so it is a weekend. So maybe that's why this place is as busy as it is. And the owner, manager, I think he's just the manager, maybe not the owner. He was a little bit surprised to see me. Being a tourist at this time is a bit unexpected. You know, it's like, whoa, you know, everything is closed. Why are you here now? And he did ask me, it's like, why are you here? And I said, well, I'm just a tourist and I enjoy riding my scooter through the mountains. And so I thought it would be enjoyable to come here for a few days. And he warned me that outside of Umpang, most of the roads are closed. So I can't really even leave Umpang to go driving around the countryside as I like to do, because the villages are closed to outsiders. So I don't know. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to fill my days here, you know. But, you know, we'll see how that works out. I'm very good at entertaining myself wherever I am, so that shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, and I got a wonderful room here. This room costs 300 baht per night. And that's a room with air conditioning, as you can see, and a fan on the wall. I love having the fan aircon combination. And it has a its own bathroom. Simple, but functional, with a hot water heater over there. Oh yeah, there's the light. But yeah, there's the bathroom. And there's the bed over there. And I'm all settled in. So all I have to do now is go outside, get my bag off the scooter and unpack. But I guess I've been here before, and in a previous video I showed all the different types of rooms and what the grounds look like. But just in case, since this is a brand new visit, let's do a quick tour of the grounds. So this is right outside of my room. There's a nice table with some chairs here. Another room on the other side. And some clothing is hung up to dry, so I think somebody is staying there right now. And this is my room over there, number 3. Yeah, very nice. And this is the grounds of this place. They have some kind of a separate bungalow down here, and then another building there. When I stayed here before, I stayed in one of the rooms up there, more like a standard hotel room, not bungalow style. But one thing I really like about this place is they have that table and that open area down there. Kind of serves as the office for this place. But you can also get hot water there and make yourself a cup of coffee and sit at that table, which is what I like to do in the morning, write in my journal for a little bit. And in happier times, they offer some activities out of this place. You can see it's called Umphang House Trekking Tour. So they would offer guided treks to the nearby waterfall, which is quite famous, and I guess treks through the hillsides, things like that. So yeah, this is the place. And I might end up spending more time just hanging out at the guest house than I anticipated, because even on my short ride into Umpang, looking around, everything looks closed. The coffee shops that I used to go to, they were all closed, not just takeaway only, but they were shut down. And there's a restaurant near here which has some really comfortable seating and a good menu. I was really looking forward to going back there at least to get the food, but it looked like it was completely closed as well. So I'm not really sure what life will be like during the height of the pandemic, travel restrictions. Everything seems to be closed, but I'm very good at foraging for myself, so that shouldn't be a problem either. Anyway, that's it. That's it for my small adventures for today, and I'll check back in with you probably tomorrow when I fire up the GoPro once more for another day. Day 1 in Umpang.